What's up, everybody? Welcome to an early edge Saturday. Will Brinson here. You don't care about me. We got a group of sharp guys. This is the sharpest panel in the business. Alex Selzick, Propstarz, Mike McClure, and RJ White. Thank you guys for doing this on a Saturday. It's, day of football. You could be sleeping in. You could be at Waffle House. You could be eating some hash browns right now. But no, you're here dedicated to bringing picks to the people. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Sia for hosting. Shout out to Chip Patterson. I don't have the Chip Patterson energy on a Saturday, and I'm sorry for that. Have you ever been on a Friday show with Chip Patterson? It is it is like listening to Chip is like drinking a Celsius, like shotgunning a Celsius. It's wild. Anywho, how we feeling, guys? How we feeling like this is like low-key the best weekend of football.
Not all at once, everybody.
Sorry, I could have gone to one person.
I got my Bills helmet here. I'm hopeful. I'm not optimistic, but you can always paint me with a non-optimistic paintbrush. Mike knows all these times we played the Chiefs. I'm like, yeah, I got the Chiefs, so we'll see what happens.
I'm fired up. This is one of my favorite weekends of the year. There's so much parity this season in the NFL. It wouldn't shock me if any of these teams are ultimately hoisting the Lombardi Trophy a few weeks from now. So I love these matchups, and I think there's some great spots to look at as well.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, I think you can legitimately make a case for any two teams squaring off in the Super Bowl of the final eight. No Chiefs, no Eagles. I'm sorry, guys, but you guys have had your moment. This is parity at its finest.
It's parity at its finest. You want to make the case for a lot of them. I think you've got some interesting situations with injuries. The Buffalo Bills being, starting out as a favorite in that particular game on the road against Denver, who I think a lot of people have Denver, on a neutral, definitely power rated better. It's interesting. I don't think that any of these teams are really dominant, particularly the four that we've got playing today. I think that, any of them could absolutely, be the representative there. But man, I think that I don't. The NFC West was interesting. Three good teams on paper. The Rams have been, great, but kind of lucky to have escaped Carolina, to be honest. So, I would make the case that there's no real great team here, and anyone can absolutely go win this.
All right, well, let's dive into the games. We got 4 games to get to. We're going to cover them all. We're going to give you the picks, and I've seen the picks. They're sharp. They're look, you see this panel. They're going to be first quarter bets. There's going to be obscure wide receiver bets. We dive straight into the Buffalo Bills against the Denver Broncos, as Mike mentioned. And RJ, I kind of love the bet, but a first quarter bet out of the gates, man.
Yeah, I'm going under 9.5 in the first quarter. Buffalo's defense stepped up last week, and now it's getting Ed Oliver back. It feels like a game that could start slow. Don't expect Sean Payton to open things up early. And that game last week, it was 27-24 final, got to 50 points, only 3 points in the first quarter. Buffalo, we know, lost their not two best receivers, obviously, but 2 key receivers because they don't have a lot of depth in the first place with Gabe Davis and Shavers out. So, you're looking at Keon Coleman as a 3, Curtis Samuel's back. He might be the 3. Mecole Hardman might make an appearance. This is not a group of guys you expect to hit plays downfield. And before week 18, only one of previous 8 Denver games got to 10 points in the first quarter. So I expect this is going to trend similarly with these teams looking to establish the run, play a little slower, might only not even get to the end of the second possession in the first quarter if these teams are having success. So we might not even have to worry about 2 scores.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that Sean Payton has done throughout all of Bo Nix's career is read these really long play calls, and then Bo Nix gets out there and he snaps the ball under 5 seconds every single time. So even if it's scripted, you're probably going to see them being methodical. And I think Buffalo is going to try to run the ball a ton because they don't have a lot of wide receivers. However, Mike, you do taking he was a 2014 first round pick, right?
Yeah, I like Brandon Cooks again. Played him last week. I'll play him again here. BetMGM currently has the best number still at 24.5. It's 27.5 to 28.5 across the board. The wrinkle that got thrown in last minute is Curtis Samuel potentially being on the field. which, by the way, this morning, about an hour ago, you could have bet over half a receiving yard for Curtis Samuel. Yeah, that's gone now. They've removed him completely from the offering.
And Joe Brady loves some Curtis Samuel, by the way. Like, Joe Brady is kind of obsessed with Curtis Samuel.
5-yard touchdown in the game last year against the Broncos.
Yes. Ooh. So, and Curtis Samuel is a great player for this system, especially when he's forced onto the field. So we'll see. I'm unsure how much he'll actually play there. I'm pretty confident that Cooks is going to be out there. And I think Josh Allen likes him. If Josh Allen and company have success here, it's backyard football. They're not lining up, running the offense and winning this game. It's Josh Allen, backyard football. That's where I want a veteran presence like Brandon Cooks on the field. He definitely has the skill set in terms of the IQ and the speed. If he has the ability to just simply let Josh Allen extend plays, that's where it's really going to come in. Like, yes, you'll have an open player too, but this to me is kind of game script dependent, because I think he could absolutely get there if Buffalo's in control of this game. But I think there's a very real scenario that Josh Allen has to orchestrate a comeback. And I think the passing volume will just kind of be there out of necessity late in this game. This is one that can be had on one reception. Had one catch called back last week, or else we would have been close to 100 receiving yards, in my opinion. I like Brandon Cooks over 24.5 here. I see questions in the chat, up to 26.5 on MGM currently. Yes, that's still lower than everywhere else. I think Brandon Cooks has 7 receiving yards in this game or north of 50. I think that's kind of the two possible outcomes here.
Yeah, I mean, I think you play like you don't play Khalil Shakir over receiving yards. You play Khalil Shakir over receptions, right? Because I mean, I think he had just 5.5 yards per catch on 12 catches last week. But Cooks is the deep threat guy. And to your point, Mike, I'm on the Bills money line, and the reason I'm on the Bills money line is because I just think Josh Allen is going to do the Superman thing throughout the playoffs. And that is not, this is not like a statistically based analysis. This is pure Josh Allen. I mean, call us, what it is. He had a concussion last week. He had a leg that probably should have been broken. He was already playing on a busted ankle, and he jammed his hand into an offensive lineman's helmet, and he still went out there and dragged multiple defenders 8 yards down the field trying to score a touchdown and then punch it in to win the game. He knows Mahomes and Burrow aren't in the playoffs. He knows he has a path if he just goes Superman to go win a Super Bowl for Buffalo. And I just think he's going to do it against the Denver. The Denver defense is very good, and they've handled Bo Nix in the past. Now I think Bo Nix and Sean Payton will get their points. I do think there's a chance Josh Allen has to come back, but I'm just going to back Josh Allen at this low price on the money line. Proppy, you don't think the Bills will have much rushing success again this week?
Indeed, yeah. I think James Cook likely to be bottled up here once again. Last week, 15 carries, 46 yards from a very stout Jacksonville run defense, 3.1 yards per carry. Jacksonville surrendered the fewest yards to opposing running backs last year. Second was this Denver defense, which ranked 7th in EPA allowed per rush, second in success rate on the season. Also, I don't like to just look at the totality of the season-long rushing metrics, defensive rushing metrics. We zoom in post week 10. Also, if we look over the last 5 games as well, this Denver run defense has performed very well, both top 5 in EPA allowed per rush and defensive success rate here against the rush. And then just looking at James Cook, who certainly had an excellent season in Buffalo, just over the second half of the season, just didn't look nearly as explosive as he did over the first half. Where he was averaging over 100 rushing yards per game. His numbers dipped off. It trailed off in the second half of the year. So this is a tough spot. Denver's run defense only allowed one running back to eclipse 70 yards all season long. That was Jonathan Taylor, week 2. So this is just a tough spot against a very stout run defense in Denver. And again, 76.5 yards is a large number. So I think it's going to be tough for James Cook to get going. And even if he has a good game, there's still a good shot he stays under this high number.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what Buffalo wants to do from an offensive standpoint, they drew the worst possible, they got the worst possible draw in the playoffs. And that's, again, it's just on Josh Allen. Max Profits asked, are we concerned about Bills head coaching or defense? RJ, yes.
Always. But,
mean,
I will say, I as much as I wanted, them to upgrade at coach for a long time, they really took the Jaguars lunch last week. I mean, that was a
Yep.
masterful way that they were able to win that game. And a lot of it goes to coaching because, they were getting big performances out of guys like Trey White and Brandon Cooks and Matt Prater, coming back from injury, kicking field goals. So this is not a team that should have had that kind of success. They kind of needed to thread the needle and have everything be successful just to have a shot at winning in the end. And they did it all, and they won the game. So maybe we could see something similar here. I'm not that high on Sean Payton, despite him chasing being the first coach ever to win a Super Bowl with multiple teams. No coach has ever done that, and he could be the first if this team is successful. Still, you see these offensive game plans where they're just running the ball side to side. Every pass play is in the flat, for 2 yards, and it's very easy to defend for some teams. So that's why they can struggle against teams like the Jets out of nowhere and just these ugly offensive games. So if that Sean Payton shows up, the Bills certainly have a great chance of winning the game.
Someone in the chat also asked Allen rush attempts. Look, I'll be honest, and I like Josh Allen rushing yards over. I like Bo Nix rushing yards over. Trevor Lawrence could have had a lot more than 31 rushing yards last week. If the Jaguars, like the Bills did a great job coaching, the Jaguars, Liam Cohen had a great year, but they should have just run the ball 40 times against the Bills. And if they'd done that, they'd probably win the game. They should have used Trevor Lawrence in some design runs. I think Sean Payton will do that with Bo Nix. And I think Bo Nix loves to, like, he likes to get out of the pocket and take off. So I like Bo Nix anytime touchdown. Josh Allen, anytime touchdowns minus 110, which almost feels like stinky cheese because I don't think they're going to give it to Cook at the goal line. I think they're going to give it to Allen and just let him take over on the tush push stuff. Someone also asked about Cook's longest reception, 15.5. I mean, you prefer the over yardage, right, Mike?
I slightly prefer the over yardage, but still am fine leaning into the 15.5. Like I said, I think he essentially has no role, or he's threatening for wide receiver 1 in the entire game, to be honest with you. So the other one I want to address is Knicks. I get a lot of questions on Knicks rushing yards. I like Knicks rushing yards. I'm going to play it similar to how I played Justin Herbert last week. And that's not taking a position pregame and betting it in game if the game is competitive or they're trailing. If they get into a spot where it's neutral or trailing, I think Knicks has the opportunity to rush for 60 yards in this game, to be honest with you. I think that he has the ability to take off, and I just want it to be out of necessity. So I'll be waiting on Knicks, but I do like that. As far as first quarter over receiving yards on Brandon Cooks, I would not get into trying to thread that needle.
We have someone who asked, am I the only psycho betting on Marvin Mims over 1.5 receptions and over 1.5 rush yards? I mean, probably you're not alone. It's like Tobias Fuke once said, there's dozens of us. I mean, I'm sure there's I don't hate Marvin Mims. It's a divisional round playoff game. Sean Payton's going to throw some junk out there.
I will say that Bill's really banged up, in the back end. They got Maxwell Hairston's out, Jordan Poyer, who's not great at this point in his career, out. Terrell Bernard, a linebacker, I believe, is either out or questionable. I think he's out. I think you could have some big plays here. Some people were asking about longest touchdown, on the day. Could be Mims, could be Pat Bryant. We've seen him attack downfield these last down the second half. So, one of these guys might break for a big touchdown here. So longest receptions, I do get leaning into some of those markets just because of how banged up the Bills are in the back end. And it really feels like if the Trey White that showed up last week doesn't show up again, you're going to hit a big play on the Denver side.
All right, let's move to the NFC West rubber match. We got the 49ers beating the Seahawks in week 1, and then the Seahawks beating the 49ers in week 18. The 49ers got absolutely hosed by the NFL in terms of this spot from a rest perspective. If this were a normal rest situation and the 49ers didn't arrive back in San Francisco on Monday at 2 a.m. and then have to fly to Seattle to play a team off a bye, I would love the Niners plus 7.5. I can't get there. I mean, I lean that way. RJ, we both agree that the under is a look here. Why does the number keep going up, though? Because, I think it's you, me, and Danny Brasco yesterday was on it too. So, why does this number keep going up? Why is it getting better?
Yeah, I think what it is people have a disagreement, right? So if it gets down to 44.5, it gets bet up to 45. If it gets back up to 45.5, it gets bet down to 45. And it's because this 49ers defense looks pretty bad on paper. They showed up last week. But you look at some of these guys that can be attacked downfield with JSN, and I don't know how they're going to slow him down if Sam Darnold's able to make it through this game. And so, like you said, neither of the first two games got past 30. I grabbed 45.5, thinking it would come down and not come back up. I think there still is a 45.5 in the market. So that's my pick in this game. Seattle's defense, excellent most of the season, allowing 14.5 points per game since week 6, if you take out the defensive and special team scores that they've allowed. And that San Francisco defense has stepped up in the last two games. I don't think Darnold's going to get this team to 30 points if he even makes it through the game. He popped up with this oblique injury, and they said, really optimistic he's going to play. I don't know if that's wish casting, but it sounds like it's less than 100% chance he plays. They're going to test it out in some cold weather here. Is he able to make it through the game, or is it one big hit and we have Drew Lock on the field? If Drew Lock's in the game, I love this under 45.5. So I'm going to play it with the potential for a Sam Darnold injury. And even if he makes it through the whole game, we saw both these games didn't come close to 40, in the earlier part of the season. So maybe this one doesn't get there either.
Mike, you have a play, and it's easier to loop it in now because this is a tough game. I mean, look, it's a tough game. It's a rubber match between two divisional opponents. But you have a play with this game and the Bills team total in a parlay, a donkey parlay. I love a donkey parlay.
Yeah, a little donkey parlay. One that I really love a lot. You shouldn't have been able to bet it like I was. Only one book offered it that way. That would be over at DK. 6.5 on the team total. There we got the donkey sounders. We are all the way back on Saturdays. Let's go. I played this at DK this morning. They give alternate team totals. A lot of books do. MGM does as well, but they stop theirs at 18.5. We all know how incredibly key 17 would be in terms of a team total. So I caught the Bills over 16.5 and the Niners plus 13.5 at minus 122. One I really like a lot. I would still consider it at BetMGM right now. You can play 18.5 and Niners 13.5 at even money. I would consider that, looking for that 19th point. Love this one a lot more, though, if you still have access to the 16.5 on the Bills side, the Niners plus 13.5. I think that the lower scoring environment, the combination of Brock Purdy using his legs, who I will still maintain Brock Purdy is one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the NFL. You guys may just not know it necessarily, but extremely tough, extremely capable runner. We saw it at Iowa State. Since week 14 this season as well, the only game he didn't take off and run much, they won by 21 points at Indianapolis against Phillip Rivers. Every other game, just crushing rushing totals and have that opportunity. I think Shanahan will keep them within the number here. And I really believe 49ers are live to win this game outright. I am extremely worried about Sam Darnold. I've beating the drum that the one muscle that's the most important muscle for a quarterback in the NFL is the oblique, period. It's required for having the zip on the ball, the velocity on the ball. If you are if you can't throw the ball properly with velocity, it impacts timing. Darnold's a guy that's had issues with timing throughout his career to begin with. I said yesterday, like, for part of his career, he's looked really good. The other part of his career, we've made memes about the guy. And now he's coming off a longer break, dealing with an injury out of nowhere against a team that's seen him several times. I personally think there's a scenario that Sam Darnold turns into the pumpkin here and the Niners win this game outright.
Yeah, I think that's well in the range of possibilities. It's kind of being slept on. Like, look at the number. It's like 7.5. I mean, Sam Darnold, messed his pants in big spots in like the last year. So I like the Niners. Like, I mean, money line is not out of control here, right, Proppy?
Yeah, I like the Niners too. I think they're super live in this spot. I think the coaching of Kyle Shanahan, just the familiarity here, the divisional matchup. Yeah, I like the Niners quite a bit. One position I'm going to potentially look to open is Christian McCaffrey receiving here. He's the exception. I often talk about running back receiving props being extremely volatile commodities. Christian McCaffrey is a rare exception because of his first read target rate, the way he's utilized in the San Francisco offense and his receiving chops. If we look at this 49ers offense also without George Kittle, he stands to benefit as much as anyone. 6 games without Kittle this season, averaging 65 receiving yards, 10 targets per game. And then you couple that with the fact that Seattle's defense is extremely susceptible to receiving running backs, gave up a ton of production in that department here. I think this is a great spot to potentially open a live position in the event that McCaffrey is not heavily utilized in the receiving game early. We'll see his yards probably dip down south of 40, which seems like a really good entry point in my opinion. So that's something I'll be keeping very close tabs on as the game progresses.
TD King has, I think this is interesting. Now, he's ladder play on Kyle Juszczyk up to 6. Now 6 is asking a lot from Juice, but he called 4 last week, and I think he makes a good point. Like when the Niners like to do the stuff where when George Kittle's healthy, where it looks like they're running and then Kittle is blocking and all of a sudden takes off and is wide open for Brock Purdy. They kind of do that with Juice now, and so I don't know about 6, but I think he will be involved in this game for sure from a receiving standpoint.
Yeah, the on our Wednesday show, that was my prop play was Juszczyk over 1.5 receptions, and put it up on the site. I think it might have been my first play after putting the under for the game in, which I had to do early in the week because I wanted to get that 45.5. But yeah, I think he's getting multiple receptions. He's had, I believe, multiple targets in 11 of their 18 games, and in 3 weeks straight. And that's even with Kittle playing, the first 2 of those, the full game. I am a little bit worried about a ladder and just expecting that the 4 that we see is going to keep on increasing, because he did have a kind of decent receiving game in week 1. Kittle got hurt in that game. Didn't really translate down the stretch. Once they were able to get practice and overcome that injury and scheme some other stuff up, they started throwing to the tight ends a little more. But, I think in the playoffs, that's a guy that has done it in the playoffs, and has caught some big passes for Kyle Shanahan. So you can certainly see him calling his number multiple times here.
For sure. All right, let's move to the Sunday games. Texans against the Patriots. I think this is, out of the 4 games, for me, the hardest game to really pinpoint. I want to back the Texans because I think their defense is elite. But man, no Nico Collins, and CJ Stroud was really CJ Stroud trying to give that game away last week with all the turnovers. I believe that did he actually give any picks on this game? RJ, do you have? I know you like the Patriots on the Wednesday show. I'm not sure. Am I wrong in thinking that this is just the toughest game to handicap of all 4?
I think it could be. I actually have this number in my ratings up to 5 on the Patriots. So, that's the side I want to be on anyway. I think it's funny. There's one, national show that they went to them for their game. They give their picks separately to the producers. They flash the picks. They all thought they were making the out of the box pick by taking the Texans. And then it comes up and everybody's on the Texans. So I think it's kind of like everybody wants to be that fight, get ahead of the game and be that smart pick. I think this could be a Patriots blowout though. This is CJ Stroud looked terrible last week. We were talking about it before the show, just panicked whenever he's under pressure. New England was able to get some pressure on Justin Herbert for sure. And it's not like Houston has this great offensive line that's going to protect CJ Stroud. We saw it last week. So I'm buying into this Patriots defense with the sharp play calling we had last week with Robert Spillane and Milton Williams returning the last 2 weeks. Harold Landry, I believe, was questionable for this game, but he was back the last couple of weeks as well. You take out Nico Collins for a concussion. You can't trust Christian Kirk to just go off for 100 yards every game. You can't trust this running game to have a big day. It's not like they're powered by these massive backs. It's Woody Marks and Nick Chubb renaissance. So I don't think this team gets to 20 points. My play in this game is Texan team total under 19.5. I think in this matchup on the road in the cold for this Dome team, I find it very hard with this quarterback to see them getting to 20 points unless it's via a defensive score, and you can't really predict those.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I'm with RJ here. I mean, if looking at this Patriots defense, the splits with and without Milton Williams this season are eye-opening. Cannot be understated enough. The sort of impact that Milton Williams had early on in the year. The Patriots defense, the run defense was absolutely dominant And yeah, he proved to be one of the real best free agent acquisitions in the NFL. So yeah, this Patriots defense with a healthy Milton Williams, I think is going to make life very difficult on this Texans offense, especially without Nico. I really like that look from RJ a bunch. That would be something I'm going to look to open as well. A position.
Mike, would you like the floor for any CJ Stroud hot takes?
I've been relatively vocal about him playing outdoors. Look, it's he gets to play in a pretty nice baseline, right? You talk about the division, everything's indoors at home. You get to play indoors when you go to Indianapolis. You get to play in warmer climates in Nashville, Tennessee for most of the year, and in Jacksonville. I think it's kind of well documented at this point. My favorite argument is we talk about it's a small sample size or whatever. An NFL career is a small sample size. I mean, you're talking about like for some of these guys, like 30 instances of any event is still a small sample size. So I'm willing to lean into him a little more. If you watch CJ Stroud, the one issue that he's had even indoors is anytime there's legitimate pass rush and legitimate pressure, you can feel and see the panic. Now you don't have Nico Collins to bail you out at times. I just think it's a tough uphill battle. And I leaned Texans early if conditions were ideal and perfect. They're looking like they're going to be far from it. It looks like we're going to have some rain and snow during this game in the cold. So, maybe they can get by running the football. I think they should run the football a ton. I think if you're the Texans, the goal should be chew up as much clock as you possibly can. Punts are your friend. Get this game to the fourth quarter and see if Stroud can, execute a drive, right? But I think they're in trouble.
I think the weather conditions is like a real disadvantage for the Texans because their strength is the defense. And all of a sudden you have guys who are like these great cornerbacks who are backpedaling in conditions, and you got Drake May like dropping it off to Ramondre or to Travion Henderson. Like Travion's due to break a big one. It's coming. And the Texans are a little vulnerable to screens. Mike Vrabel is an elite playoff. He's an elite coach, but he's an elite playoff coach. He knows how to get these guys ready. I had the Texans on Wednesday, but with the weather, I don't think I can back the Texans. I would go Patriots here for me. I'd probably stay away, but lean Patriots. Let's get to the game that everybody cares about because it involves a future top 5 all-time NFL quarterback and a Hall of Famer in Matthew Stafford. As everyone knows.
You're going to say Caleb Williams.
Caleb's awesome. I mean, look, he's the best Bears quarterback of all time, which is insane. Such is the life if you're a Bears fan.
All the time you spent covering Jay Cutler. I can't believe you said that. Like,
I love Jay Cutler, by the way. But yes, I mean, like it's like Rex Grossman, Jay Cutler, and Caleb Williams. I mean, Caleb Williams is like 4,000 yard season next year away from being the best Bears quarterback of all time. That's wild. Anywho, huge total in this game, but it has come down because freaking Jim Cantore, the weather guy, is out here banging the drum about Matthew Stafford's record in cold weather games. Cantore, get out of here, man. Go cover like a Snowmageddon or something. I don't need you talking about Matthew Stafford's record, buddy. I don't buy it. I don't think it's a thing. Like, everybody's worse in cold weather. Matthew Stafford's going to be fine in this game, in my opinion. I like the Rams in the spot, but I really like the Rams team total over because not only will they score early, but the Bears, with the way they operate, where they come back and Caleb puts up these points late, are going to push the Rams to keep scoring. So I like the Rams team total over 26.5, and I like the alternate team total 34.5 at almost like 2-1. I'm obviously a Rams homer of sorts, some would say. But I think the Rams are going to put up a bunch of points here. Proppy, you are actually down on a pass catcher for the Bears.
Yeah, I just think it's a good spot to fade Colson Loveland. I actually really liked RJ's look on this last week. Obviously not the optimal result, but yeah, I think this is a good spot to fade Loveland in this territory. As high as 58.5 receiving yards. I just checked on some major books here right now. Colson Loveland certainly really came on strong, having a fine season, but there's a lot of pass catchers on this Chicago team with Rome Odunze healthy, Luther Burden. There's other tight ends even that are eating into his snap share a little bit here. And this is a very difficult matchup as well. The Rams specifically were very good against the tight end position this season, surrendering the 7th fewest yards to opposing tight ends. And I anticipate they're going to game plan for Colson Loveland based on the sort of success he's had recently. So just a big number in what might not even be optimal passing conditions. And there's just lots of mouths to feed on this Bears offense. This just seems like a very natural spot to me to fade Loveland, despite the market liking him a lot and this number ticking up.
So the primary narrative surrounding the Rams offense early on, Davante Adams led the league in red zone targets by a wide margin. He was due for touchdown regression. It came in like a wave in the middle of the season. But over the last 4 games, RJ, Matthew Stafford, with Davante Adams dealing with a hamstring, has been more than willing to shed the narrative and go to Puka Nacua in the red zone and throw to him in the end zone. I mean, look, you gave this out on Wednesday, and the more I looked at it, I was like, this is just a really good look. It's a little chalky, but not really. Puka Nacua anytime touchdown, great look.
Yeah, I know Mike's going to hate this play because he hates all the anytime touchdown plays. But 8 touchdowns in his last 6 games, like you said, scored in 4 straight. He's slightly behind Adams in odds. I think we're getting good value there. Chicago's defense allowed the 3rd most receiving touchdowns to receivers in the regular season. And then you go to last week against Green Bay, 4 different receivers scored, between Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, and Matthew Golden. So you add all those up, do you get 1 Puka Nacua? I'm not even sure you do. That's how much of an impact he has in this passing game. So if Stafford can stay healthy, that finger, getting out in the cold could be an issue. He bangs it once. You're suddenly getting Jimmy Garoppolo in this game. I would still play it with Jimmy Garoppolo just against this defense. It seems like Puka Nacua is going to get to the end zone. In terms of the spread, if it closes 4, I'm going to want to be on the Bears. They're dealing with their own injuries. TJ Edwards out for the season. Now their left tackle is out. That's really what kept me away from the Bears this long. But we talked about it last week with the Panthers. Playoff home dogs of 4 or more are now 10-0 against the spread in the last 50 years. You just do not cover as a road team that's even a moderate favorite going into a playoff environment in front of a hostile home crowd, and you're able to win games by margin. It hasn't happened. So if you're going to tell me that this is going to close 4, I really do want to be on the Bears, even with their left tackle injury.
I kind of like the over. I think look, it's going to be cold. That makes playing football more difficult. But I don't know. Matthew Stafford played the NFC North for years. He went to Lambeau Field. He's been to Soldier Field. I think these teams are going to score. I think it's going to be a shootout on Sunday night. It's going to be a great game. So with the weather ticking this number down, I like the over. Mike, any thoughts on the side total or any looks here?
I don't mind Puka getting in the end zone. I think he probably will. I think that having everyone healthy and everyone other than the quarterback healthy, I should say, having Higbee and others back out there, I think the distribution could get a little interesting if it's not a big play to Puka. Man, this is tough. I lean still to the over at the current number. I think it could get there late. I would like the first half under at 24.5 if you're still able to get that. I want to know how everybody's worried. Are you worried, not worried about Stafford's throwing hand or the hand?
I'm a shameless Matthew Stafford homer. Yeah. And I think he's low key, one of the toughest for players sure. in the NFL over the last 10 to 15 years. So I'm not worried about it, but it definitely was a factor in that Panthers game. When he got hurt, he's just missing some throws that he doesn't miss. So that a little worried, but not worried enough to back off my Rams.
Would you be worried if his backup Jimmy Garoppolo was out with a back injury and it would be Stetson Bennett backing him up in this game?
Yeah.
That's a possibility here.
Stetson Bennett's a gamer now, but he ain't got Georgia's defense and he ain't got the Georgia run game. So yeah, I would be petrified to back the Rams if Stetson Bennett was out of the field.
Yeah. I maybe we might need Ben's take on this game. I want to know which game Ben's more nervous about, this one or the IU game. Obviously,
Ben doesn't care about the Bears game. I'll tell you that much. His team's playing for a national title on Monday. Coach Sig is smoking it through the filter. Ben, Hop on here, dude. You don't care about the Bears, dude.
Look at that Chicago smile.
Yeah, no, everything is going great in the sports world of mine. So it's hard not to smile right now with IU and the Bears. I think I'm a little more nervous for this Bears game. I think because it almost seems like they're playing with house money at this point where we're just having a good time. You know, I don't even know if they were supposed to win that Packers game, and Caleb Williams did his thing and the Bears look great, and that's awesome. So at this point, I think the general vibe for Bears fans is let's just have a good time and hope we win. And I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. The weather, I think, is certainly Bears weather, and it's going to be good for them, and they're used to playing in Bears weather. I was kind of thinking about the Matt Stafford hand injury and kind of figuring out what that might mean for the spread. I don't know if you guys like maybe like a first quarter, either Bears money line first quarter or even total under 9.5. I think MGM has it at plus money. Maybe it takes a little while for the Rams to either acclimate to the cold or Stafford to get used to it with dealing with injury. And then, of course, we know the Bears offense can sometimes be very sketchy, at least to start games. So maybe like you guys were talking about, first half under, maybe a first quarter under at plus money. That might be a way I lean, especially with the cold weather. And I know the Bears have been practicing all week in the cold, but it's different when you're on the lake and the wind's howling and it's 2 degrees, and it's tough to get used to it at the start of these games.
And just before, but just you would give like Bears lose 50-0 as long as IU wins, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, a natty is bad.
I will say this about the Bears, and maybe Ben can confirm this, but if they go out and beat the Rams here, you know, it goes from playing with house money to we're going to win this thing. Because if we beat the Rams, who can't we beat, right? We'll be at home for the NFC Championship game. We'll be at the Super Bowl against a team that isn't as good as the Rams. And all of a sudden you turn from, oh man, it was great to beat the Packers. You know, we're really building something for next year to this is our year, you know? So it's going to be really interesting to see if that's the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
And it's going to be cold. Like it's going to be a little snow flurries, wind chill, probably -5. It looks like. I mean, it's 20 to 25 mile per hour winds.
Did y'all see McVay's like little comment about Ben Johnson and LaFleur at his press conference when he was like, they're like the one reporter asked him, he's like, did you talk to Matt LaFleur? I mean, yeah, it's OC. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, they're boys. I think Matt LaFleur is furious that his name got mentioned in the hot seat stuff, and Ben Johnson put him there, and Ben Johnson, like, they've got this beef going. I think Matt LaFleur FedExed overnight here's what you do to slow down Ben Johnson early, like playbook to McVay, and McVay's going to use it. So I kind of like that. Maybe Bears start slow, first quarter under look.
Yeah, and I think the other thing they need to do is get the run game going. And you can only rely on Caleb to be this guy in the clutch so many times until you fail to get that magic. So, Monangai, I would love to see him get going a little bit more. I know they didn't go to him a bunch in the last couple games, and he was huge in getting them these wins during the regular season. So maybe you try to get back to Monangai a bit, get Swift some carries. Establishing the run is very important for this team and getting Caleb to actually be good in the first 3 quarters versus having to come from behind in the fourth.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. But RJ, like, don't you agree? Like, I mean, I don't disagree with you at all. Like, the Ben Johnson offense is built off the run game, like, a lot of modern smart offenses do in terms of, like, setting up plays that look one way, and then all of a sudden you got Colston Loveland leaking out. But this Rams secondary, RJ, is kind of how you attack them.
Yeah, and if, I talked about it on Wednesday, if I was designing a team to upset the Rams, it would look a lot like the Bears. An offensive ceiling that's pretty high, that can run the ball, has a lot of weapons in the passing game. A defense that, it can give up a lot of yards, but has been great on takeaways, number 1 in interceptions on the season. We've seen those games that the Rams surprisingly lost that deny them the number 1 seed. Matthew Stafford goes out those multiple picks against the Panthers, against the Falcons. This is the team that you can do that against. As long as those guys stay healthy. I saw Nahshon Wright got banged up in the last game, but these guys are like takeaway demons. So, if his finger is bothering him at all, his accuracy drifts a bit. This team has proven it can generate some takeaways. And once you get multiple takeaways on Matthew Stafford, it's really hard for the Rams to win the game.
Everything's coming up, man.
Let's go. Big weekend.
Hey, a Coach Sig fan for life, man. He's a Raleigh guy. Like, love Coach Sig. So I'm rooting for you there, not rooting for you here.
That's fair.
Yeah, like,
let's have a good Monday then. That's perfect.
Yeah, let's have a great Monday. Let's just have a great Monday, get the national title, and let's get Matthew Stafford one round further. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, just back. I saw it in the chat and confirmed everything there. Shefty did start to talk about the Darnold situation a little. He has not thrown a football since Thursday. Drew Lock took first team reps the last 2 days.
Wow.
I mean, Niners +7. If Drew Lock's out there is real.
I mean, honestly, if Drew Lock's playing though, I freaking love longest reception over props, even though I hate them. He's just, the kid will sling the ball. He will have a big play. He will have an arm punt, but he will have a big play in this game. I like maybe a longest completion over. Obviously, we're not going to get that. They're not going to have Drew Lock props up right now for that. But if and when it does populate, if he's a starting quarterback somehow, give me the longest completion over for Drew Lock.
Maybe Rashid Shaheed, longest reception over. Like that's a YOLO ball down the field style, because Jason working underneath. Yeah, Drew Lock.
But to be fair, I still think that Darnold will probably start this game and try to. I think the not throwing a football since Thursday is just, there's zero reason to throw a football and aggravate it. Like it's heavily involved. The oblique is heavily involved in throwing a football when you're just standing there, but it's definitely involved when you're trying to, elude any sort of pressure and actually throw the football in a game environment. So I think that it's a precaution that he's not throwing it. You don't need to stay loose. He obviously has thrown footballs his entire career. He's fine there. I think it's truly about resting that muscle. But if it's bad enough that you feel the need to, not do that, and you're preparing with Lock taking first team reps, I think there's a very real chance that he doesn't finish the game.
Yeah. I mean, that's a spicy twist to a big weekend with lots of picks. We got a recap screen. I'm sure, he said confidently, of course. Mike, on a Saturday donkey, Bills team total over 16.5, 49ers plus 13.5, minus 122 at DK. As Mike mentioned, you can get it at MGM, 18.5, 13.5, even money, playable, but you prefer the 16.5, obviously. Brandon Cooks over 24.5 receiving yards. Proppies on Colson Loveland under receiving yards, 57.5, and James Cook under rushing yards, 76.5. I'm on the Rams team total over. Ladder that puppy up. Matthew Stafford going ham here. Seattle and San Francisco under 44.5, 45.5. Obviously, you prefer the higher number. And the Bills money line because Josh Allen is a freak and a superhuman. And RJ is on the Bills Broncos first quarter under 9.5. He's with me on the 49ers Seahawks under. He has a better number because RJ's sharper than I am. Texans team total under 19.5. And Puka Nacua anytime touchdown. All right. Great stuff, guys. We got a big weekend of football. All those bets are cashing. Let's enjoy the games. Good luck to Sam Darnold. Actually, no. I mean, I've seen Darnold's okay, but good luck to him, I guess. With that oblique. For Proppy, for RJ, for Mike, I'm Brinson. Thanks for watching, guys. Early Edge fam. Appreciate you coming out on Saturday. We'll see you guys soon.